Alright, let's get this over with. Mr. Wargaming has decided to go on a hiatus. He's decided that we can be better gamers, apparently. Since he has done that, I've decided that we do need to stand up, and we do need to rise up, and we do need to be better gamers. So today, I'm going to lay out a plan to enshrine this game even more as one of the greatest games ever made. We can run the greatest Wargames campaign ever imagined. And it was imagined 50 years ago. We need to remember that at the beginning of this hobby, we had different groups playing games across a giant map, the Castles and Crusade Society, and they were playing diplomacy. And each player had their own little area and their own little place, and they would battle. They would battle. When D&D came along, this concept was lost. We had people making their little game and creating their whole new world. We have the world that Greyhawk is in. In modern times, we have, say, the Oran Empire with Axe. It's a whole world that they created. The problem with creating whole worlds is you lose the magic that was there at the very beginning. And that magic is that every D&D game is in the same world. When Gary gives us a little village and maybe some scary caves with some scary temple, and a little bit of wilderness, and a little keep, and he tells us you should start there. What he doesn't tell you, because he doesn't want to repeat what's already in OD&D, is that surrounding that little keep on the borders is wilderness. Unnamed, unmarked, unknown in size wilderness. And that wilderness is between every game. Here, we could have 3 different D&D games. Over here, we could have a little barony next to a nice dungeon. It's wonderful. It's happy. It's quaint. It's familiar. Over here, we could have a game with a kingdom and an evil empire, and they're warring. Maybe there's a continent fleshed out. And over here in this game, maybe we have a little village, or just a hermit, or a wizard in just his tower, or maybe even just a really big lair. Any one of these things in an OD&D game would be surrounded by wilderness. And on the other side of that wilderness is another game. And on the other side of that wilderness is another game. Each referee has their own little pocket of light inside the greater D&D world. This is beautiful. This is exciting. This is so awesome. I didn't know that every single one of you that is playing original Dungeons and Dragons right now is actually playing with my group. And that is fantastic. So how do we do this? How do we play together? If we're all playing in the same world, how do we wargame better? The answer is within these three pieces, and they are Chainmail, the Wargame, Dungeons and Dragons, the campaign rules, and diplomacy, understanding the scale that glues campaigns together so that we can play chainmail battles. How does this look, I hear you say? Well, Dave Arneson, you might have heard of him, gives us a great example in the First Fantasy campaign on page 4. And the way that this is set up is seasonally. Every season, there will be a roster of law and chaos. And maybe neutrality if, you guys are wimps. And within this roster, we will have factions, and we will have some statistics about them. Here is an example from my home game. They have 10 sites. It's the Barony of Stoneward. They have approximately 6,000 population. Their currently fielded mustered army is about 900 points of chainmail points. And they have 1 superhero, 1 wizard, and 4 heroes. With just this information, I can use my mustered army to go attack someone else. Or someone looking to attack me could look at how much of my army is mustered, figure that out in points, and look at my population and figure out maybe how many of my soldiers are staying home. They might want to attack me. We might have chaos. We might have an evil temple that only has a few different monster layers and only a few hundred monsters. But they might be part of a mega dungeon. They might also want to send or receive armies. It's hard to explain this without an example, I think. But if you read this page, and if you read these statistics, I should hope this would be painfully obvious what I'm proposing here. What I'm proposing is that we connect our Dungeons and Dragons games. We are going to lay out the year in seasons, real seasons by the real calendar, so everyone's calendar is the same. Each season, we will post a list. That list will include all of the lawful factions. It will include all of the chaotic factions. It will be very simple. It will show their populations and their standing armies and a little bit of statistics about them. Every season, you can send your armies to someone else's game. Or you might receive an army from someone else's game. When an army hits your map, that's your problem. If I send my army to your map and I say, okay, here's my, 400 heavy foot, show up in your game to fight your chaotic faction. That's what happens. And you have a whole season to figure that out. There is so much meat left on the bone of Chainmail and Dungeons and Dragons. This skeleton of a game was never fully realized before money got involved and players stopped playing war games and people just wanted to tell stories in the dungeon. But the books were written. We have them. We can still read them. We can still do this. So in honor of Mr. Wargaming telling us to improve ourselves, I am leaving this out to everybody that has an OD&D campaign, maybe even an AD&D campaign, to join me in a chainmail wargame using Dungeons and Dragons as the campaign rules in an overall diplomacy wargame. I'm going to have an email address in the description of this video. You can email me. We will talk about your game and what you have going, and I might know you from somewhere on the internets. This is not a very big place. And we will add you to the roster. And we will add all of your sites and all of your sites. And at the dawn of the real life calendar, at the real life seasonal intervals, we will simply post a new roster and the war game will commence. I really want to thank John for inspiring everyone to do better. This is an idea I've had kicking around for a long time, and it's time we do it, because it is time to be better gamers.